Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and today I am going to start off by inking a beachy scene right on top of my card base here. So what I've done is I tore my painter's tape in half here, and I'm using the grid lines on my cutting mat to get a nice straight horizontal line. And after you tear your tape in half, by the way, keep the other half. Don't throw it away. We'll actually need it on the project. So keep that portion. What I'm gonna start off by doing is inking up my beach, the beach portion of my scene. And the reason why I tore that piece of tape in half is because I didn't want a perfectly straight line like I have at the top of this piece of tape, which is the professional sort of edge of the tape. The torn edge is actually facing down towards the bottom of my card and into my beach essentially. And what you'll see is essentially that little bit of tape is actually going to be the ocean or the water portion of my card. And above the tape is going to be sky. So where the sky meets the ocean, I do want a very straight horizon line. And so that's why I've put the super straight edge of the tape there and the torn edge towards the bottom, because a sandy beach isn't going to have a perfectly crisp line. So the beachy colors that I happen to have ink for happen to be in the Gina K line of inks. These are dye inks, but they still blend really, really well. So I used two shades of sort of that tannish, sandy color to give my beach a little bit of color variation, just to make it look like it's a little bit more textured, like you would see in nature. And then I'm going to use my tumbled gloss distress oxide and a couple of different actually inks for the top of my sky. I think here I'm using some salty ocean. Ironically, I'm using that in the sky and not for the water. So what's tricky about this is that I'm going to have blue on blue. So here I'm going to remove very carefully my tape, and you can see that perfectly straight line. So here I'm placing the straight edge back onto my card base, but now I'm masking off the sky because I don't want to ink into my sky and break that perfect line. And then I realize as I start inking this up that I actually need to mask off my beach too. So it's a really good thing I kept that the bottom portion, because that curve is going to perfectly match that beach line that we created. And if there's a little bit of overlap, that's okay, because some water is going to go over your beach, and that's fine. And what I did try to do though was to go from dark at the top at the horizon line and a little bit lighter as that water sort of meets the sandy beach. And it's not perfect because this is the first time I'm doing it, but I definitely feel like it kind of works, especially since with the sky, because I still wanted it to be daylight and I wanted to still use a nice light and bright blue. With the ocean, I went with a shade of blue that has a little bit green in it, and that's how I thought that we could get away with differentiating, using those different tones to differentiate between the water and the sky. I think there can be more done there, but I think that it works and it's really fun. And the one thing to keep in mind as you're creating your backgrounds is that even if it doesn't look perfect to you as you're creating it, bear in mind that once you get the focal images on top of it, one, portions of it will be covered up, but two, you'll quickly see how that inked up background really does start to fade to the back, and how visually our attention is really drawn to the focal image. And so I'm actually working with some pre-colored Digis from Polkadoodles, and these two kiddos just look like they're about to have a truly fabulous day at the beach. Their arms are just loaded to the gills. They're drinking their iced smoothie drinks and have lots of toys and beachwear. So I just found a stamp set from Polkadoodles where you can really build up. There's a lot of individual words and you can build up a lot of different phrases. And I found this combination of Fabulous Day, which I thought was perfect for this card. And instead of stamping with black VersaFine ink as I would normally, I actually chose an archival ink that is, I think it was a ground espresso. So a nice, rich, dark brown color to make it almost seem like it's just maybe some wet sand almost. And so it sort of blends into the scene a little bit better, because there really isn't any strong sort of black color on in the scene, and so that helps to kind of make the sentiment part of that background scene. And what I'll do with these Digis is actually just kind of attach a little bit of low profile foam on them so that they can sort of feel a little bit more in the foreground because they're raised, and then they'll cast just that little bit of height. This is only 1 millimeter thick, but even that little bit of height is enough to cast a little bit of a shadow onto the rest of your card. So that does help to really suggest that they are in the foreground. And I actually thought about putting one of them on to some thicker foam to even further suggest that I think it was this guy who I wanted to be even closer, to the viewer. And you can do that by putting him on thicker foam than you do your other characters. But look how beautiful this is. I could never color this well, so I love and relish the opportunity to work with pre-colored Digis, especially since it allows me to focus on other aspects of the card, like the Beachy scene that I inked up. Thanks so much for joining me today, and if you like my card, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing the notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.